Hello, this is Dr. Adam J. Bach. In this short audio presentation, we're going to talk about lifetime value of a customer. So, lifetime value, or LTV, is a relatively simple concept. It's an important concept because businesses need to understand how much an actual customer is worth. Most organizations can capture value from a customer beyond the very first sale. There might be repeat purchases of the same product or service, or accessories associated with that initial product or service, or cross-selling of other products or services to that same customer. So we're trying to understand what the total profit associated with a given customer is over the length of time that the customer interacts with the company. So let's do an example, because very often doing an example is much more clear than simply a long wordy explanation. So here we have some sort of generic product which sells for $100. It costs us $75 to make it. So therefore their product profit is $25. In addition, there are supplies that the customer needs to use with this product. So this could be something along the lines of a copy machine and toner or paper. And the supplies then cost about $4 a month. The supplies are priced at $4 a month. And the ongoing supply sales have $2 profit per month, which suggests that the cost to us is about $2 a month. In addition, the expected customer life of the product usage is 3 years, or 36 months. And once this is all done, there's no other impacts, and that's the end of the story. So take a moment and see if you can figure out what the lifetime profit of one customer is to this organization. I encourage you to pause the presentation here, take a moment or two, see if you can come to the right answer before we move on to take a look at how to actually solve this and then do another example. So we can walk through this. The calculation is really quite simple. The product profit itself is $25, as mentioned, and the supplies profit per month is $2, which suggests that over the 36 months of the relationship, the total supplies profit would be $2 per month times 36 months, which would be then $72. So our total lifetime value of this average customer would be the $25 profit from the product and the $72 profit from the supplies, for a total of $97. That's our total lifetime value for a given customer. Now, in real finance, we'd use a much more sophisticated process to work this out, because a dollar tomorrow is not worth the same as a dollar today. If this is of interest to you, you might take a look at a couple of sources that talk about cost of capital or discounted cash flow. These are a little more advanced topics in finance, but you do not need to know them for this course. But this idea that we would assess the total profit, the value that's created by a customer, is a critical insight for any organization, but especially small entrepreneurial organizations that are trying to determine whether or not their business has a viable model that can be sustainable over time. One key thing to recognize is that there's an important link between cost of customer acquisition, COCA, and lifetime value, LTV. Remember, COCA is the cost to acquire one customer, and LTV is the total profit from that customer. So together, you'd have a rough idea of whether the business is viable. Do you see how? I'm going to explain it in a little more detail, but take a moment and see if you recognize how to do this. It's really quite simple. A viable business, generally speaking, has a cost of customer acquisition that's lower than the lifetime value of the customer. In other words, it costs you a certain amount of money to bring the customer in, but having the customer is worth more than that. On the other hand, if your cost of customer acquisition is incredibly high, higher than your lifetime value, then you have a problem and your business is probably not viable. Let's ponder this. So for example, in the other presentation, we took a look at a situation where there was a COCA of $50. Well, if COCA was $50 and the LTV is 97, do we have a viable business here? The answer is, it kind of looks like we do. It costs us $50 to bring a customer in, but the LTV of the lifetime of that customer is $97. So in other words, every single customer that we can bring into the organization is worth about $47 in total profits. So to wrap things up, I think you should do one more, and in fact you have to, because this is an assigned activity in the Canvas quiz. So here we're talking about a gym. The gym initiation fee is nothing. It's free to join the gym, but it costs the gym a certain amount of money to bring someone in. We have to give them a tour. We have to enter their information into the our database. We have to kind of, maybe we have them complete a small assessment to figure out what their fitness goals are, and all of that costs us money and time and so on. And that costs us about $25. From then on, the member pays $10 per month, and we're going to pretend that's all profit. That's, probably not a great assumption, but let's pretend it's all profit from there on out. And on average, for some reason, our customers tend to stay for only about 18 months, and then they're gone. With this information, you should be able to calculate the lifetime value of a given customer, and that's what you'll be required to do in the Canvas quiz activity. So take the time to do this. Make sure that you understand the connection between COCA and lifetime value, and you are well on your way to understanding some important aspects about what makes some early stage businesses viable or not. Here are some final thoughts. As you learn about a business, you should be able to improve both numbers, your COCA and your LTV. Obviously, you want to reduce your cost of customer acquisition, and you want to increase your lifetime value. So with things like A/B testing, learning to target more profitable customer types, and coming up with ways to extend the customer lifetime. And you've probably run into these kinds of things where if you say you're going to leave an organization that has a recurring fee, they offer to reduce the fee, or they'll waive the fee for a couple months to kind of give you a chance to try it out a little bit longer. You want, if at all possible, to find ways to reduce the COCA and increase the LTV. These are fundamentally two of the most important metrics that you have in a startup, and investors care about them. If you are running a venture, starting a venture, and you're looking for investment capital, it is quite likely that your investors will ask you to walk you through the calculations that you're using to understand LTV and COCA, keeping in mind that if there's a lot of administrative fees, if there's administrative costs, operational costs to run your company, then in some cases your LTV will need to be much higher than COCA in order to be sustainable in the long haul.